KREM 2 News begins now.
Thank you for joining us on KREM 2 Plus. I'm Tim Pham. This is your KREM 2 News Week in Review. Join us as we take a closer look at some of the biggest stories in the Inland Northwest this past week.
While investigators may have determined what caused the devastating Oregon Road fire, we still don't know exactly how it started. I sat down with the Washington Department of Natural Resources to learn more about human-caused fires and what they mean in the investigation process. Every fire starts with a spark. Now, how a spark gets its start may not be such an obvious fact.
What kicked it off? That's the hard work our investigators do.
The Oregon Road fire near Elk burned more than 10,000 acres and hundreds of homes. Tuesday, fire officials determined the fire was man-caused. Joe Smiley with the Department of Natural Resources says investigators came to this finding by ruling out natural causes.
Basically, if there wasn't lightning in the area at that time, it's probably human cause. That doesn't necessarily mean arson, could mean arson, but most of the fires in Washington, about 90% every year, are caused by humans.
Smiley says of that 90%, about 50% are negligently or intentionally started. He explains how the remaining 40% of fires can spark.
A debris pile that got away from somebody, a railroad can spark a fire. Chains dragging on the side of a highway can start a fire. Farming.
The Babb Road fire is an example of a destructive human-caused fire that wasn't arson. The fire destroyed most of Malden and Pine City back in 2020. The fire began after a tree branch fell on a power line. Its start was considered human-caused because Avista was responsible for maintaining the trees near the power line, and it didn't. Smiley says the Oregon Road's fire origin story is still being investigated. He says it could take days or weeks to come to a full understanding of what exactly sparked the deadly fire near Elk. DNR says once investigators determine where the fire began, they can start asking how it began. This includes assessing the area around the origin point and interviewing neighbors about what they may have seen or heard. In the studio, Janelle Finch, KREM 2 News.
Heartache now turning into headaches for homeowners who lost everything to the Oregon Road and Gray fires. Weeks after they started, people who lost their homes, including this woman who didn't want to show her face, have a new hurdle to deal with.
I get a phone call from a disaster relief gentleman, and he says, have you arranged to have your property surveyed? I says, for what?
The what needing to be surveyed is asbestos. One of her next questions was, how much would it cost?
And he says, I've heard from people $200 all the way up to $2,000 plus. And I went, how is a person supposed to get that kind of money after this type of thing?
It's a question on the minds of many who checked out Wednesday night's community meeting in Medical Lake, touching on debris management.
The most important thing is we're here to make sure everybody's safe.
Their officials shared each burn structure needs to be tested for asbestos before cleanup begins. Fulcrum Environmental Consulting's been helping with some of that testing.
When your house gets burnt down, all of that has been impacted. Some of that ash is presumed to be contaminated with asbestos until it's tested and shown to be otherwise.
Once the testing's done, they'll help come up with a cleanup plan. According to Grote, the cost for their inspection can be about $1,000 to $3,000, depending on each individual property and how much it burned. He says home insurance can help with the cost. While Robert Maljoy, who lost his home in the Gray fire, says his insurance has been helpful so far.
I'm happy with my insurance company so far, so I don't feel like we're going to have problems.
That's not the case for everyone.
It's bad enough we have to try to come up with the difference between what the insurances are trying to give us as to what we lost. Now we have extra.
Making things tougher in an already difficult time.
I'm standing at Riverside High School, where just a week ago it was used as an evacuation center for victims of the Oregon Road fire. Now, students are back in the classroom.
The return of school,
I'm glad to have a routine again,
is a sense of normalcy for Malia Reedy.
It felt pretty normal. My classes have felt pretty normal, so I think that's a really big benefit is nobody's treating it differently than another school day.
Malia is in her final year at Riverside High School. She grew up in the district and never experienced a devastation like the Oregon Road fire.
We're a tight community, we come together, we support each other. So I think that's the benefit of living here.
School officials say about 100 students and 7 staff members lost their homes.
We've stayed united. I think that's brought the light to people.
Superintendent Dr. Ken Russell says because of the fire, the school district started a week later than its original start date. They made the decision for a number of factors, including feedback from families, and Riverside High School was still being used as an evacuation center.
We're still completely focused on helping the Elk community in any way possible.
Students who are displaced will be provided out-of-district transportation with Riverside school buses.
We didn't want to go in blinded, and so just knowing the resources that we can offer kids and just having a safe space for them.
Many parents are glad of the district's decision to push back.
I think the school district did exactly what they needed to do.
Victoria Ebby Bounds is a parent to a 4th grader in the district.
A lot of the kids that go here are impacted by the fire. So, making sure they all start the same and start together.
As for Malia, she's excited for what the rest of the school year has in store.
I'm just glad that everything is smoothly going into the new school year and we can look forward to football events.
The superintendent tells me that school operations have fully returned to normal and students who wish to return at a later date will be accommodated. In Chattaroy, Nathan Hyun, KREM 2 News.
Well, this is a look at average class size trends in the last 5 years. This blue line here is the Washington State class size average. It held steady at 18 over the last few years. The orange line you see here is Spokane Public Schools. It's above the state average. It took a dip here during COVID and met the state average, but it's now rebounding. So I took a look at how SPS is adjusting to a growing student population. Before the first bell rings, Miss Brittany Metke is getting her classroom ready for students. She's been a teacher for almost a decade and has seen how the school has changed.
This is where I keep all of my past class photos so that I can come and see my kiddos.
Linwood is Spokane's largest public elementary school, both in square footage and enrollment.
We were just growing by numbers and every classroom was packed, but there were no more spaces to even hire for another teacher.
Squeezed to the brim and in need of an upgrade.
Our school in particular has grown from about 18 full-time teachers to 27.
Third grade teacher Heidi Lewis says now that they're in their new space, they went from 2 teachers per grade to about 4. Take a look at SPS's enrollment numbers. In the 2020-2021 school year, they took a hit. Enrollment was at its lowest in the last 10 years. 3 years later, the school district is rebounding with a projected enrollment at about 30,000 this year. Spokane's rapid growth is not showing signs of slowing down, which means neither is student enrollment.
It's not the city that we remember, it's a city on the move, and our school district has to be planning and thinking about that alongside other parts of our city.
Dr. Adam Swinyard is in his 4th year of leading SPS. He says the school district saw the writing on the wall. In the mid-2010s, Spokane schools were filling up. The district conducted research to make room and keep class sizes low.
Having more students in the classroom just kind of spreads teacher resources and time thinner.
The solution? Move 6th graders up to middle school.
And to do that, we needed to increase the number of middle schools.
In 2018, voters approved a $495 million bond to replace 3 current middle schools, Shaw, Glover, and Sacagawea. The bond also funded the addition of 3 new middle schools, Yasahara, Flett, and Pepperzack.
That has charted a course for us to establish these really low class sizes that we know are so important for our kids, as well as be able to accommodate the rapid growth that we're seeing in our city.
What's a good class size and where would you like to be as a school district?
Yeah. It really depends on the grade level and the content that's being taught, and sometimes the level of support that's needed in the classroom.
If he had to put a number to it, Swinyard says about 18 for primary grades, 22 for intermediate, and less than 28 for middle and high school. But classroom sizes only tell a part of the story. About 75% of Linwood students qualify for free and reduced lunch now, up 6% in the last 4 years.
That tells me that a lot of my students' basic needs may not be met. They may come to school hungry. They may not have resources at home. They might not be able to complete their homework.
It's new challenges and growing pains teachers now have to navigate.
Our school has grown, our community has grown, but the heart has remained the same.
As we mentioned, the projected enrollment is about 30,000 students this year. As we sat down for the interview with the superintendent, a middle school had 20 new enrollments that day alone. It's something Dr. Swinyard says has never happened before. This upcoming year is another levy year. They happen every 6 years. Dr. Swinyard says there are no plans right now to build more schools, rather improve the ones we currently have.
To be clear, a censure does not impact Woodward's ability to hold office, but Councilman Zappone explains it's a formal disapproval of the mayor's behavior from City Council. Zappone says this censure is a strong formal warning that this is not okay in Spokane.
We've heard from members of our community daily at this point that are still upset about what happened and think that is inappropriate, and it is inappropriate.
The actions Councilman Zach Zappone is talking about took place at the podium just 2 days after the Gray and Oregon Road fire started. The mayor and a self-proclaimed Christian nationalist shared the stage at the Let Us Worship concert. While on stage, former state representative Matt Shea prayed over Woodward.
A minute before the mayor got up on the stage, Matt Shea compared homosexual marriage to the wildfires. And that is not appropriate for the mayor to get up there and pray and embrace someone that is making those comparisons in our community.
A member of the LGBTQ community, Zappone says he was shocked and hurt to see his city leader alongside Shea.
It makes me question, how do you work with someone who is directly being supported and hugging people that want to get rid of you? Like, that's essentially what it is. And so there's a lot of, you have to suck it up and get the job done, because that's what the citizens of Spokane expect from us, is to figure out how to work together to get it done, but it does make it difficult.
The mayor has repeatedly apologized for the appearance and said she didn't know Shea would be there. It's worth noting Matt Shea posted on Twitter days later saying this is an annual event planned months ago and it was not for the fire victims. Shea said the mayor accepted the invitation before the fire started. This afternoon, she shared a statement with KREM 2. It reads in part, quote, "I do not support the reviews and did not seek their support. I should have done more to learn the exact details of the event and attendees. I apologize that my appearance with them, although unintentional, has hurt members of our community and caused a distraction when we need to focus on the health and safety of Spokane." Zappone says the mayor's responses have been inadequate and feel like excuses. Zappone says the draft censure resolution will be presented to the Urban Experience Committee on Monday. It could then go to the advanced agenda before going to council for a vote. In the studio, Janelle Finch, KREM 2 News.
Anna Vetter was killed when a formwork collapsed here at the construction site at the Spokane Tribe Casino. And we have now learned from a citation report that the contractor has been fined, but Vetter's parents say it's not enough. The work is moving on at the Spokane Tribe Casino expansion. But for the parents of Anna Vetter, moving on became impossible March 7th.
I mean, it seems like yesterday and it seems like an eternity.
Anna died while working on the site after a formwork gave out. One of the contractors on the project, SAK Builders, was fined $16,800 by Washington's Department of Labor and Industries. The violations all stem from issues with the flipper deck, a platform used in concrete formwork. L&I says the deck's working surfaces weren't correctly sized, were missing required safety pins and supports, and employees on site weren't given the manufacturer's safety documentation for the correct use or installation of the flipper deck. L&I said employees were working on unstable surfaces that could shift or fall without warning, leading to serious injury or death.
I'm just furious. It's beyond my comprehension.
But the Vetters, who live in Western Washington, are even more frustrated with the fine itself.
$16,000 is nothing. I mean, to them, it's not about the money. It's about taking the responsibility.
And say that piece, accountability for Anna's death, is still missing.
And the citation doesn't mention anything about that this faulty scaffolding, killed a person.
It's unclear if the death investigation is complete. L&I didn't respond to our request for an interview. SAK Builders and its parent company, Swinnerton, also didn't respond to emails and calls. The Vedder's parents tell me they have spoken with attorneys, but say they have been told because they aren't the next of kin, they won't be able to file a lawsuit. And we are still working to find out if Vedder's fiance, who would be the next of kin, is pursuing legal action. Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
The news of Sandy's death brought many to tears. But at Sandy's memorial service last September, people encouraged those in pain to use their tears as fuel to continue Sandy's mission. Today, people are honoring her legacy and carrying on her efforts toward a more equitable Spokane. People who knew Sandy Williams knew she wanted the best for her community.
She was very dedicated to changing the trajectory of Black folks in this community. And how do you do that? You do that providing resources with education, understanding the culture.
She founded Spokane's first Black newspaper and spearheaded the development of the MAXEY Center as the executive director.
Her vision is just extraordinary.
These are some of the reasons why her death 1 year ago left such a hole in Spokane. Even today, her friend Dr. Sherry Williams Clark says her shoes are impossible to fill.
She really touched people, and it was in such a real, original way. I don't think that will ever happen again here, because it was with Sandy.
While there may never be another Sandy Williams, her friends are making sure her vision lives on. Williams Clark is making it a part of her personal mission to continue Sandy's legacy.
Coming in as executive director is just a real honor for me. I am working in purpose, and this is my passion.
She says becoming the MAXEY Center executive director connects her to Sandy in a new way.
I'm coming into her space every single day, and I'm so honored to be here. I really am.
She says the center will continue to provide a safe, cultural, and equal space for Black people, all in the name of Sandy Williams.
I'm just hoping to carry on and to build programs and have resources and services that reflect what her vision was.
Sandy is memorialized in the Sandy Williams Justice Center, which offers free walk-in legal clinics at the MAXEY Center. A New America Credit Union scholarship at Eastern Washington and an Innovia $60,000 endowment fund also hold her name. Sandy Williams would have been 62 next Wednesday. In the studio, Janelle Finch, KREM 2 News.
2022 was the deadliest year on Washington's roads in more than 3 decades. But at this point in 2023, more people have died in crashes than this same time last year. It's being called a traffic safety crisis. The state's traffic deaths started rising, surprisingly, at the start of the pandemic in 2020. Every year since, they've gone up, hitting a high point last year.
750 fatalities, which was the highest number on Washington roads since 1990.
And it's looking like 2023 could surpass that number, says Mark McKechnie with Washington's Traffic Safety Commission.
By the end of July, we've seen 4 more fatalities compared to last year.
By July 31st, 2022, 413 traffic deaths were reported. By the same point this year, 417 people had died on Washington's roads.
And the interesting thing is that resulted from 7 fewer crashes. So that means we've seen more crashes that result in multiple fatalities this year.
That could be due to a variety of factors, McKechnie says. Some of the top factors in fatal crashes are DUI, speeding, distraction, and not wearing seatbelts.
For example, in Spokane County, 29% of drivers and passengers over the last 10 years who are killed were not wearing their seatbelts.
Impairment is still the top factor, accounting for about half the fatal crashes statewide. It's why law enforcement will keep an eye out, but ask you do your part, too.
We would like for people to slow down, increase following distance, leave more than enough time for traffic and other collisions that could occur, and then also drive sober.
And looking at our local Washington State Patrol District 4, the state routes and interstate just around the Spokane area, traffic deaths are up 200% over last year. 6 people died last year by this time compared to 18 this year. Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
I
stood in this spot just last year, surrounded by portables. They were temporary classrooms for the ALMIRA school district until they could rebuild their school. Well, the portables are gone now, and the students have just finished their first day in their new school. Generations of families have grown up in the ALMIRA school district, but these students will be the very first to walk these halls. An electrical fire destroyed ALMIRA's only school building 2 years ago. Whoa! Generations of history and memories gone.
I think one of the biggest losses is losing the graduation pictures from the old classes.
April Pinnar teaches science at ALMIRA. 5 generations of her husband's family went to school here.
There's history and roots, definitely.
The nightmare of losing this historic building is over, and the dream of a new school has come true.
This dream is real now. It's not just, well, when the new school is built or when we get there, we're here. You can keep all that stuff in your locker.
There's a bit more excitement on this first day of school for teachers and students alike.
It seems so surreal, like you just walk in, you're like, wow, this is my school.
That's ALMIRA's ASB Vice President sitting with ASB President. As 8th graders, this will be their only year to enjoy the new school.
It's sad that we only get 1 year, but we gotta cherish this 1 year we have.
Bricks from the old school are embedded here to honor the past.
Alrighty.
And in April's classroom.
So here is the brick from my west wall.
You'll find another brick salvaged from the fire.
The brick itself survived, which I thought was awesome.
ALMIRA's historic school has served past generations for 80 years. Now, this new school stands open for the next several generations to come. In ALMIRA, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
We have the fair, we have the food, and we have the Cougs. Come on, it doesn't get much better than that.
Fair food football. Yes.
F words.
The great ones.
Stay cool because you get to hang out with Channing.
Hi, I'm Channing. Wait, why did I do my own?
Okay, I'm not hesitant, Brandon. There is droppings on the floor that I don't want to step on. Yeah. Our goat friends are back. They wanted to say hello. Yeah.
All right, guys, if you cannot tell, we are out here working incredibly hard on our fair game skills. Right now, our Tim Pham, he's a little distracted right now. He is trying to play this game.
Skee ball, my beloved.
That's super cute. I saw the axe throwing. I was a little disappointed in that, so hopefully Nicole and I can do a little bit better out there. You know?
The reporters versus the anchors, that would be a fun one. I think we Let's go. We are having a moment here, and we are doing. Okay, wait. I'm trying my best here, guys. I really am.
I can feel that one in my jellies, right?
And telling us more about this ride. We're gonna be fine. Don't scream, don't scream.
It's so fluffy.
It's so fluffy.
We're gonna get the corn dog for Jeremy.
Marshmallow. Yes. So our Spokane Nate got this.
We have like the deep fried lasagna. Deep fried pizza, cookie dough, and this is new. The apple pie this year is new. Deep fried apple pie.
His fair
do the
food
happy
necklace.
dance.
The wiggle.
This is pad thai noodles on a necklace.
In a necklace. Only Tim
What?
Pham.
Live from the Spokane County Interstate Fair. There we go. Back to you guys, Tim and Channing.
Yeah. That's the name, Thomas. The Spokane County Interstate Fair. And, or as we like to call it, KREM 2 at the fair.
Yeah.
We're going to be here all weekend. Thank you for joining us here on KREM 2 Plus for a look at some of the biggest news stories of the past week. For the most current news throughout the weekend, you can watch our latest newscast right here on KREM 2 Plus. Just look for them in the bottom navigation menu. I'm Tim Pham. Thanks for watching.